Please listen to this whole intro for key information or stuff I really want you to know. Please, don't skip. Anyway, hello, amigos. Today, I'll be taking the MBTI personality test, also known as the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, one of the most popular personality tests in the world. I like this test because I actually did it already and it's so accurate to who I am. Also, I made my family members and my friends do it, and it accurately reflected their personalities as well. Okay, you're probably wondering by now, why are you taking this test now if you've already taken it, as you mentioned 3 sentences ago? Well, I just decided to go through it again so that you guys can learn a little more about me because it reveals quite a few things, and seriously, we haven't had that. I haven't even had my first Q&A yet, but I want to save it for later for a better time. I will eventually announce it, but not yet. So me taking this test isn't really for me, but for y'alls. Also, since I know that not every one of you checks my community tab, I'm going to ask you guys to do something that I did on there. For those of you that pay attention to my videos and at least have a little knowledge about how I behave and are kind of familiar with the MBTI test, try to guess my personality type before you find out later in this video. Don't just keep your guess in your head. Also, I want to see how many people actually guess it right. Could be a lot, could be a few. If you only know your own personality type, you can also try to guess too if you think I might have the same personality type as you. Leave a comment with your guess and type it like this. Please do this for me. I'll be looking. I'm really curious about what you guys think my personality type is. It would be even better if you can explain why you think I have that personality type. And don't just skip to the end of the video for the correct answer. It's not fun that way. You might also want to see if you guess right. Okay, so do it now. Pause the video and come on. Okay, before I get into it, I also want you guys to know that I did the test again pretty recently. I think I did it 5 times in my life already, once being the first time ever, 2 more times for confirmation that I'm still that personality type, and the 4th and 5th time because I wanted to take my time for my responses to be as accurate as possible. I actually saved my response, so I'll just choose the options on the test easily as I go and I'll explain my choices. It wouldn't have been a good idea to record me taking it at that time because, like I said, I took my time, and that means I really took my time. Apparently, for normal people, but I think I took more than an hour. Yeah. I tried to think about my responses really carefully because I just wanted to. Since if I don't, my results would be affected, and I don't like that. The accuracy is for me. Okay, so here it is. Let's press that, take the test. Woo! Come on, click it. It's not gonna load. Okay. So here's the first question. I'm gonna have to put it here. Yeah, you guys can read it on your own. It's pretty easy to read. So in my free time, I wouldn't really do that. And with the lots of people part, I usually hang out with a few friends. I don't mind if there are lots of people there, but it's totally not my thing. And I'd rather stay home. I still haven't been to a college party except to maybe pop in, get food, and leave. I think that kind of already reveals what I am. But I didn't put it on the extreme side of disagree because if there are social events, I might be interested sometimes. I wouldn't always not want to go, but yes, I mostly don't. I would have to put it here now because, yeah, I do lots of unrealistic things. And I didn't put it on extreme agree because I don't always explore, but I do it more than I don't. For this, I'm gonna have to put it here because, okay, I don't have my own travel plans because I usually travel with my family and they make the travel plans. If I do in the future, I would plan out a few ideas about what places I might want to go to, and it's not gonna be that rough. I would do a tiny bit of research into it to see which places are worth visiting, but I would keep it very minimal. I don't usually. Sometimes if I say something stupid, I would think about it after the conversation for a while, maybe 20 minutes, which is quite a while. But then the keyword is you often think. So now if I look back on that, I really don't care. But sometimes I would maybe come up with what I might say, but it's rarely. Okay, so if my friends were sad, I would I wouldn't support them emotionally, not really. Maybe some emotional support would come into it, but usually I would suggest ways to deal with it. Yeah. I mean, come on, if you just support them emotionally, then you're not really helping them. I mean, kind of in the moment, you're kind of making them feel less bad, but then in the long run, you're not really helping them. So I would, definitely suggest ways. People can upset me. It's not rarely, but I would put it on a low kind of disagree. Because here's like really upset, like you get so sad or whatever and like offended. Here's like mostly upset. Here is an equal amount of upset versus not being upset, but I think I would be a little more upset than in the middle. It depends on the situation. If people are being kind of annoying, sometimes I wouldn't really care, like I would push it aside. I'm pretty chill. But if it gets into something I really care about, I don't know, if there's some sort of an argument that I think was unjust, or if the other person's being unreasonable, then I would be really upset. I would put it in the middle. Sometimes I would just sit back and it's like, whatever, it's easy for me to start conversations. When I meet my friend group at the table for lunch, I would start a topic. I don't mind. And I could also like keep it going. Sometimes conversation can go forever. But other times I just don't know what to say. I sit there, I'm like, oh gosh, maybe I wouldn't talk. Or when there are people that I don't know really well, I would let them do the talking, like I wouldn't really care. So it's easy for me to start a conversation and keep it going. It's just sometimes it's yeah. I mostly I mostly get distracted by other things. By plans. It could be like academic work, writing an essay, or not even a school kind of plan, but I usually branch out into different mini projects, or I do something completely different, and it's like I'm totally distracted from my main objective, so very much a high disagree. But it's not over here, because if the plan is really important, like if I have a project due the very next day or soon, I would sometimes focus on it a lot. So, it would be a bit more to a degree, so here's the perfect place. Here, I rarely worry. Yeah, I rarely worry. Like, I don't even care. If I just meet them, and if they don't like me, then that's fine. I'm pretty confident about knowing what people think about me, I guess. And if they like me, then that's cool. But, yeah, I'm not gonna really bother with that. Oh no, disagree all the way. I can find so many things. I have so many plans and projects on my to-do list. Okay, not a plan, it's just like ideas of what I can do. Yeah, tons. I'm very much more of a big person, big picture person, but sometimes I can tend to focus on the details a lot. Yeah, I would put it here. Okay, here. I am not that affectionate at all. I can sometimes show my affection, but like mostly I don't. Yeah, I don't really say affectionate things to my family and friends. And I'm not a hugger or touch a lot. Yeah, that's not me. But I'm not gonna put it high disagree, because if I find someone I like a significant other, then I think I would be pretty much more affectionate. And by pretty much more affectionate, maybe I would put it in an agree, but I'm not going to let one person change my decision for this whole entire question, so I'm going to put it mostly disagree, because for most people, that's what it is. Mostly, I'm a pretty laid-back person. I can just go along, improvise or stuff, but sometimes I do plan a lot, or sometimes I organize myself a lot. Like with my computer files, a lot of them are messy, but a lot of them are also super organized. Like I have different kinds of folders divided very, I would say methodically. I know exactly where everything is. I feel very neat when I do that, but mostly I'm a mess. It's similar to the question before. If I do something dumb, I might think about it for some time at the time. But in the future, if it's something that happened a long time ago, then I wouldn't bother. It's done. Like, who cares? Although sometimes I can think of an example, like I dance. So if I rewatch a video where I dance pretty terribly, people might say like, oh my gosh, you were good. But I'm going to be like, no, I was terrible. And I would like cringe. So I would put it, mostly disagree. At parties, I would be over here. If there's something they do that interests me, like a certain party game that I think would be fun, here's a really innocent one, like dodgeball. Once in a middle school kind of party, I would join in. And now they do dodgeball, I would still join in. Or like any other really fun kind of party game I would like, so I would be a bit more toward the action. But mostly I'm away. Here, I can't really. I would think carefully about something, but sometimes my emotions do get the upper hand a little. You can't always trust your emotions at all. Okay, for the movies, I'm gonna go with disagree over here. I usually don't really care. I do have a list of movies that I save, like I screenshot them and put it in a folder, and I would just go there, pick whatever random name, because whatever I screenshotted was something I cared about, I guess. I could stay calm under a lot of pressure. If I have a bunch of projects, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I wouldn't freak out that much. I would kind of freak out in my head, but yeah, mostly I'm fine. Whoa. I would disagree. So I do have no problem really jumping in. For people I kind of know or like my friends or something, if it's people I don't know, I would be more over here for that. I don't know them, so like, what do I jump in about? I would find it kind of awkward to just go in there. Although sometimes maybe I might jump in, but I don't think I usually would. And also, even with people I know, sometimes I would be sitting out because I don't really have interest in the conversation, so I would go a bit more toward disagree. When I sleep, my dreams are totally bizarre and fantastical, but not all the time. Sometimes it's centered around my everyday life. Okay, not sometimes, like rare moments. I don't ever think it's okay to step on others to get ahead in life. But I'm not over here because sometimes I do. Not really. I don't know. I did kind of step on others to get ahead. Unintentionally, sort of. And I don't think they really bother about it either. But I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's okay at all. Ooh, I get distracted very easily. What? I wouldn't really doubt myself. Although sometimes I'm a bit surprised, like, oh gosh, I'm worse than I thought. Like sometimes when I dance, right? Then I would doubt myself a little, but I mostly know where I am in my knowledge and skills. Sometimes if I'm very bad at something, then I'm like, I expect that because I know where I am. Social event, yeah, mostly I would stick with people I know. Yeah, pretty much all the time. 99%. Maybe a few rare times I would introduce myself to new people. But yeah, rarely. Ooh, no. No, philosophical discussions are really interesting to me, except I wouldn't put it on a high disagree for this question because sometimes it depends on the topics that are being discussed. There might be a few topics that I really have no interest in, and if I don't care about it, then I would have basically no interest to talk about it. But mostly, those conversations can stretch out for a while. I like that. Ooh, this one is kind of a complicated question for me, I guess. Like, for me, it might be really straightforward to you guys, but I would put it, like, kind of agree. Here, I would be like, oh my gosh, like you run to your friends whenever you have problems, burst into tears, cry a river, and by the end of it, you're red-faced. Here, it would be sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and that's not me. If I do cry about something, I try to wipe my tears before anyone would see it, or I would do it in private. I don't like crying in front of people at all. It makes me feel weird. I don't do that. I wouldn't show that I cry because of a movie in front of my friends or siblings or my parents, but it's kind of weird. Like, I would tell them I cried at a certain scene because I kind of want to know how they reacted. Like, I'm kind of emotional sometimes for that stuff like that. For really sad matters, I don't usually have those anymore, but when I'm super sad and I would reach the point of tears, I would never cry in front of people. Like, I would totally keep it to myself. So that would be more toward the agree side. But then I put it here because if I were to watch something sad and react to it, like a live reaction or something in front of you guys, I wouldn't really mind crying if there was a really sad scene. Okay, I would go here. I usually really like quiet and intimate places, like my room. I really love my room. I love my room so much. Outside, I would prefer a bit more of a quiet area. But sometimes I don't mind, walking through a loud mall, or if I'm in the library and people are really loud. I know that's weird, but in our library and in school, people talk a lot. It's like where people hang out on their breaks. Here, I would put it in the middle because I do like discussing theories kind of things, but when it comes to like what the world could look like, I kind of have an image in my mind, so I wouldn't really discuss about it. Like, it wouldn't be an interesting topic. I will mostly listen to my head. If it's a life-changing choice, I would certainly think about it very carefully. Like, come on, it's very important. Okay, I would have to disagree about this one. Yeah, my dog's barking. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Like, whatever, I don't know. There's probably some other dog and they're having some kind of fight or competition behind the doors. Okay, so sometimes I'm more open, but I'm not over here. Like, maybe if someone were to suggest that I would go into, I don't know, stop motion, I wouldn't really be able to, like, see or touch it, but I would kind of be able to experience it because I would make crafts, clay or something. So I would have a bit more experience. Yeah, just be open. But then sometimes I really need experience. Like if you don't have experience at all, that's kind of weird. You're kind of being irrational. I want to make sure I'm not getting something stupid or that it's going to be a terrible kind of life or it's going to waste my life. Okay, I mostly prefer to forgive. I don't really I'm not a revenge type. I used to be, but now I'm not. It just feels bad to me. I would mostly not make decisions on a whim. Like I said, I would think about it, but sometimes my emotions get better. Yeah, the time I spend with myself definitely is more satisfying to me than the time I spend with other people. Sometimes if it's like with friends I care about, I would really like it, and it's something we do that I care about too. But other times they do things that I can't really relate to, like they play a certain game and I'm like, I have no idea what that game is. Or they watch a certain show together and I don't really like the show, then I wouldn't like that time. Well, here it depends on the movie, because if it's a movie I have no interest in, then I wouldn't even bother. But if I do like it, then I would put a lot of special effort in interpreting. Try to find out everything. Look at all the different parts very specifically. I would break that thing down completely. I mostly have an idea of what I want, generally. I can't really think about stuff I don't know that I want. I mostly have an idea in the end. But I'm a really indecisive person. If you make me make a choice right there, I can't. I have to think about it for a really long time. So because of my indecisive character, I'm going to put it here. Yeah, rarely think back. It's similar to one of the questions before. This is also similar to a question before. I definitely think about the future a lot and how my choices would affect that. But sometimes I do randomly just find myself focusing on the present, so it's not a high disagree. I wouldn't have a hard time understanding people's feelings. I'm pretty sure I can know how they feel. When someone's acting a little different, I would notice something's different about them and I would tell them about it, and they're gonna be like, how do you know I was feeling this way? But sometimes I do things without thinking, and then I realize that I didn't really completely understand how they felt. Sometimes I'm like, oh my, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize people could be so sensitive. Yeah, sometimes. For this... Oh, by the way, we're like around 65% done. Okay. So, when starting to work on a project, I wouldn't make decisions up front, but I would sometimes, maybe at least know who's working on what, or a basic idea of what the project's gonna be. Very, very basic, not specific at all. And I would like to make decisions along the way. That's the most efficient way for me to do it. Here, it's similar to the question before. I don't care what people think about me. I am really comfortable striking up a conversation with whoever. It doesn't bother me at all. I can do it. It's just, keyword, someone I find interesting. If it's someone I don't care about, I would be more toward here somewhere. But then, if it's someone I find interesting, and that's kind of rare, I would just talk to them. But I don't put it high agree, because if it's someone I would like, I would be a little more hesitant to talk to them. Although sometimes I could maybe. So I usually don't daydream because I have plenty to do. But then, okay, I sometimes, my mind drifts away into random ideas for a while. For this one, put it here. I don't look for myself first all the way. That's like you don't care about people at all. Here, you care about people a lot. So I would put here because, sometimes I'm in the middle. I care about myself just as equally as other people. But then sometimes, I am ahead. I do end up getting late to places because I make it last minute. I want to do whatever is important to me first, and then I'll take care of whatever else later. If there's some kind of small club meeting kind of thing, I would go late. Yeah, but if it's a very important meeting, I would make it early. It depends on the situation, but yeah, I would look after myself first. Let's think of another situation. If there was a monster attack in school somehow, just some random monster attack, I think I would run rather than stay behind and help people. I think I would help, few people that are important to me, but I think I would worry about myself a bit more. Oh, ho. Yeah, definitely, I would do whatever I want. First of all, I rarely plan my daily routines. Basically not at all. And when I do, I always change it. Oh gosh, I make plans sometimes. I'm gonna do this much in a day. I have to. This is efficient if I want to make use of my time. But then I end up being slacking off or something. Okay, my mood can change very quickly if it's something that's important to me. But otherwise, I would mostly be here. Here, I would think that someone's mood changes very quickly over even the most minor things. Okay, meaning of life. This kind of question. Okay, I'm pretty sure I understand the reason for human existence and the meaning of life. I understand personally. So it should be I disagree for that reason. But then I put it here because I'm just gonna assume this kind of means any questions relating to life or existence. I do think about those kind of life questions. I mostly don't talk about my own feelings and emotions. Sometimes I do. I would talk about things that make me happy a lot or angry. But when it comes to something that makes me sad, never. Never. Yeah, I don't talk about my sadness. Like, okay, maybe I would share one or two things, but I mostly. Okay, maybe I think I would. Should I? Maybe I should put it here. Here's like, you half listen and you half talk about your emotions. Yeah, I'm not really like that. I would not talk about my. Okay, no. I'm gonna put it in the middle. I think I do a half kind of thing. Okay, as for my. What? No, disagree. Like, who has detailed stretching several years? No way. I would never. I might have a brief idea about what I kind of want to do and work toward that. Similar to question before, mostly agree, rarely. Here, yes, I would feel drained easily, but sometimes if it's something I really think is fun, I wouldn't care, like I said, but mostly I feel tired. Maybe here. Yeah, maybe here. I think I'm way more of a visionary than a realist, but sometimes I can be more of a realist. Like, I'm not completely a visionary. I am open, but sometimes it has to be reasonable before I can carry on so I don't waste my time. This question is kind of weird because empathize with a person who has gone through something you never have. What? I think it's like you can think of a situation that you've gone through that is similar to somebody else's, even though you never experienced theirs. So I can somehow empathize with them, but like sometimes I don't even sympathize easily. So it's mostly disagree. But then sometimes I might have more of a feeling toward them. I'm not like totally cold to their situation. My personal work style is totally closer to spontaneous bursts of energy. Sometimes I do have a bit of planning, like some organization. I know I have to do something, so I do part of it, and then if it's boring to me, I will do something else and then go back to it later. I control my emotions more. I try to think about a situation carefully and not, because emotions can be very dangerous. You might do something super stupid that you're gonna regret later for a while, and you might totally waste your time, so I do think carefully. After a long and exhausting week, a fun party is just what you need. Oh, no. I would go to a disagree, but over here, because like I said before, sometimes some certain kind of party I might be a bit more interested in. Like maybe my friend has their own kind of party and they're inviting a few people, like I don't know, say a birthday party where you go to the cinema and watch something. That would be kind of fun. But mostly, no, not just what I need. What I need is to go home in my room and relax. I would put it here because I don't. It's similar to the future question. I don't frequently find myself wondering about that. I do sometimes come up with ideas about certain inventions that could help. Not that I know how to invent them, but it's just like, oh, if this thing existed, that would make a certain part of life easier, something like that. Whoo! Oh, no. I do not always consider my actions. I would go here. Or sometimes I do consider it. Sometimes I do understand what my actions would do, but I just don't care. Yeah, that's the truth. If I have a change of heart from a commitment, then I would change my commitment. Like, come on. If I feel differently, why would I stick with something that I don't agree with anymore? But if I'm making a commitment that's related to someone I really, really care about, I think I would put it here. Okay, for this one, yeah, I rarely feel insecure. It's like one of those questions asking if I worry about what people think about me after I meet them. I do feel insecure if I look at something stupid that I did, start worrying in my own head, but it doesn't last that long. So, time for the results. Drum roll. Okay, here we go. And, just a moment. I am an INTPA logician. I already know this, but I'm just telling you guys. This is so me. Like, I don't think I would change. I'm gonna start reading now to introduce my personality to you guys. So, it says that it's fairly rare, making up 3% of the population, which I really love. Yeah, it says it's definitely a good thing for them, as there is nothing they'd be more unhappy about than being common. It was true the first sentence for me. Logicians pride themselves in their inventiveness and creativity. Yeah, I think I'm pretty creative. Like, I could come up with many different ideas or projects or something. unique perspective and vigorous intellect. Why, thank you. They love patterns. That is so true. Bad idea to lie, guys. Okay, not really. I don't really have experience with that. I haven't really tried to tell. Okay, sometimes I could totally tell if someone's lying, but I don't usually spend time on that, so I'm not really sure. Oh, tend to share thoughts that are not fully developed. That's true. That's so true. Like, if you guys notice in some of my videos, I come up with ideas, right? And then I end up coming back to it and adding on to it. But I try to, like, consider everything. So then I feel bad looking back on that. It's like, why did I not develop it enough? It's not accurate. And I do sometimes other people would you guys would comment some things and I would look at that and add on to the idea later. Yeah, it makes me seem kind of unreliable, but exactly, no one is more enthusiastic and capable of spotting a problem, drilling through the endless factors. I try to look at everything. I try. Don't expect punctual progress reports. I am not punctual if I don't care. People who share the electrician personality type aren't interested in practical day-to-day activities. I hate routine. When they find an environment where their creative genius and potential can be expressed. See, something I care about, when I find something I care about, there will be a lot of effort and care put into that. There might be some things on here that I can't relate to, but then that should be expected. You can't expect this kind of test to be that accurate as who you am, because think about how many people there are in the world, and then they're fitting people into 16 different personalities, and people are unique in their own ways, so of course there are going to be differences, but there are general similarities, and that's very true. So, their minds buzz with ideas from the moment they wake up. Okay, it's not from the moment I wake up, that's too much, but my mind does buzz with a lot of ideas. Like, I have so many ideas for different projects, but then I don't do all of them. Whoo, blah, 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 debates in their own heads. Yes, I do. I am relaxed and friendly with people I know. Yes, if they share my interests, I would be very happy to spend my time with them. Shyness, unfamiliar faces. Okay, this is one of the cases where it's not really true. Yes. Friendly banter, blah, blah, blah. If they believe their logical conclusions or theories are being criticized. Unlikely to understand emotional complaints. Again, I can understand emotions. There you go. People with a logician personality type would make a series of logical suggestions how to resolve the problem. Efficient results? Yes. I don't like wasting time on stuff. Fear of failure. I don't like failing. Especially when it's something I care about, something I thought about. Yeah, I definitely reassess my own thoughts and theories. Oh my gosh, this is really true. I don't remember a lot of this because I think I only read it once after the first time I took it. Yeah, I hate missing a piece of the puzzle. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's basically what it is. I'm not going to read strengths and weaknesses. I think I have an idea. But you guys get the idea about this personality type, I guess. Would you say that it's me or not? Did this surprise you? Or, yeah, just thoughts about it, I guess. I want to know what you guys think about this whole thing. Here are logicians you may know. Here's a list. Scroll through and see there are some fictional characters and real characters. Yeah. But what I'm most happy about is that my favorite anime character has the same personality type as me. I'll leave it up to you guys to figure out who it is, I guess. I think it's pretty obvious. I think. Whatever. I also think it explains why I like the character a lot in the first place. I would now like to announce that these two people, out of the 23 comments on the post I made in my community tab, guessed my type correctly. Congratulations! But the problem is that I asked about an MBTI type, so some people might have analyzed me a bit differently. I'll just put that to the side. Anyway, I would recommend this test to you guys. I think it has its benefits and you might be amused by your results. But before that, I think you should go to the 16personalities.com review document I linked in my video description and click on the section How to Take the Test. It's really not much to read and would help make your results more accurate and less confusing along the way. I might convert this document into video form later, but I don't know. It could be a long time before then, or I could lose interest in doing that. After you take the test, or if you have taken the test already, I would also love to hear your results and maybe if it was accurate. Like the responses of other Yamigos I surveyed in my community tab, if you want to understand your results or to understand them better, getting into what the letters mean, the section Display of Test Results could be very helpful, as well as this other document I made, Understanding the Personality Type Letters on 16 Personalities, where I copy-pasted information from many different parts of the site and shortened everything. With that, I will now depart.